There is a growing trend of people switching back to physical media. But is it actually better, cheaper, and more convenient, or just pure nostalgia? To find out, I cancelled all my streaming services, only allowing myself to watch movies on physical media. And after doing it for a month, I noticed 5 important things about it. Starting with a confession. I'm one of those people who takes ages to pick a movie. More often than not, I keep going from one streaming service to another, while also looking at recommendations on my phone, only to end up wasting so much time that half the evening is gone. And in theory, this makes no sense. After all, there's so many options. In fact, tens of thousands of movies you can choose from. But as it turns out, this ever-growing catalog could be the exact reason why you struggle to make a decision. There is a very interesting study from the early 2000s in which 2 psychologists set up a jam tasting booth at a grocery store. On some days, they would have 24 different flavors, while on others, only 6. And what they found is fascinating. While more people stopped at the bigger stand, it was actually the one with fewer options that made more sales, and get this, led to people being significantly happier with the choice they made. Just think about it. Not only is it harder to pick the more options you have, but instead of just enjoying it, part of your brain continues to question whether you made the right decision. So going back to physical media, when I walked into an actual store, there was usually just a single shelf. And to make browsing more fun, sometimes I wouldn't even look up the movies, but just go with whatever piqued my curiosity. I have no idea if this will be good, but with a cover like that, I'm committing. But while having fewer options is a lot less overwhelming, it can also be quite limiting. There were times when I wanted to see a specific film, whether a recent one or something a bit more obscure, and if it happened to be at a random time when the stores were closed, too bad. But even if not, the selection is obviously limited. I would have to order something online and then wait for it for days, so being spontaneous is almost impossible. It's one of those days when you just want to turn off your brain, and I've seen everyone talk about Pizza Movie, which really made me want to check it out, but it just came out on streaming, so obviously that's not quite possible right now. Therefore, with DVDs, it's what you have or nothing. It honestly made me somehow more committed to the film I'm watching. I had to be conscious of what I'm getting, which leads me to perhaps one of the most interesting aspects of physical media. Ever since I started collecting, I've gotten weirdly protective of what's on my shelf. It's like a badge of honor, and every single film has to be there for a reason. Click! Surprisingly emotional. The Truman Show. Rewatch every year. Dirty Dancing 2. How did that get in there? In essence, whatever you choose to keep becomes a physical representation of your taste. My favorite part is when you go to someone's place or they come over and you can look at the collection and talk about the movies. And this sort of tangible reflection of your personality is something that you simply cannot get with streaming services. There's also a social element to it. You can trade. It's like when someone gives you a book that they really think you should read. Of course, you can always recommend a movie, but giving someone a DVD is just a lot more personal and guaranteed a lot more likely for them to see it. Just look at those menus. Alright, there may be some nostalgia to it. You're building a permanent collection, and that word, permanent, is important because streaming libraries are constantly changing, which we'll get to. But before that, I have to talk about my absolute favorite thing about physical media: extras. You're not just getting a film, but all kinds of stuff with it. There's the director's commentary, for example, which for some reason has almost gone extinct with streaming services. And that makes no sense to me. It should be so easy to implement. Just press a button and now you're listening to an audio track with the director. You get to hear stories from the set, the decision making, and it's not just for film nerds either. Sometimes they can be genuinely hilarious.
I asked Michael why it was easier to train oil drillers to become astronauts than it was to train astronauts to become oil drillers, and he told me to shut the fuck up. So that was the end of that talk. I was like, you mean it's a real plan at NASA to train oil drillers? He was like, just shut your mouth.
Then we have things like the making of documentaries. We get to see the process, deleted scenes, alternative endings, and where things get really interesting is when they start adding the special features. In Shrek 2, there is an interactive talent show in which you get to be the judge and decide who wins. Is it essential? No. But is it fun? Or there's this hidden feature in Memento where it rearranges the film so you can see it in chronological order. Even fun little games like mini quizzes. It really makes it feel more special. Sometimes they come with physical booklets just for fun or to learn more about the movie, and for special editions they can get really creative with the packaging. But let's say you don't care about any of that, you just want to watch the movie. The thing is that with streaming, you're not necessarily always getting the original version. We've seen multiple cases of platforms removing certain episodes from shows for a variety of reasons, or simply a director going back and updating some visual effects. While with physical media, what's in there stays. And that brings me to something that may surprise some of you, as I never really thought about it, but when you purchase a film through a digital platform, you don't actually own it. What you're purchasing is a license to see it, for as long as the platform is allowed to show it to you. It's pretty much the same across the board. They all say in their terms and conditions that it is highly unlikely for that to happen. But still, isn't it kind of crazy that you're buying something that you don't actually own? Unlike a disc, which is yours forever. So with streaming services, unless it's their own original content, the libraries are constantly changing. Your favorite film can be somewhere else tomorrow. And to be fair, you're not fully safe with physical media either. You can scratch your disc by accident, or lose it, or someone can steal it, but at the very least, you own it. There is also a question about space. As you can imagine, physical media takes up quite a bit of physical space. So what you can do is get rid of the boxes and instead keep your discs in a binder, which can significantly increase the amount of movies you can store. But honestly, for me, the boxes are nostalgic and at least part of the experience. Now, I'm not going to pretend that streaming is bad. It's not. But when it comes to the price, it's not as simple as it sounds. First of all, physical media is surprisingly accessible. If you go to any thrift shop, you can find anything from the classics to new releases and get a really good deal. True story, I was just at the thrift shop when this really sweet old lady noticed me looking at the films and offered to take me back to the employee area, where they have a lot more of them in storage, and showed me those two giant boxes filled with DVDs. So I sat there for like half an hour going through every single one of them and ended up getting a bunch of movies, including some of my favorite ones that I've always wanted to have in my collection, and the price was amazing. Just look at this one. I got the entire Godfather trilogy with 4 hours of supplemental footage restored and in brand new condition for $1.50. Sometimes people just give them away for free. Once I picked up a giant bag of DVDs because they just didn't need them anymore, and then it is just luck to see what you're going to get. So it is only expensive if you're going after the newest releases. And if you really don't want to buy, you can just rent it from the library. Seriously, libraries have to be one of the best things humanity came up with. While with streaming, year after year, we're seeing the prices go up, crack down on password sharing, and now commercials. Which I understand, it's cheaper, but you pay for something and you still get ads. 7 commercials, that's more than YouTube. At the end of the day, no single solution is best, but rather a combination. As for me, I'm saving physical media as an exclusive collection for movies that are really special. And of course, for research. Like this one, which I had to track down because it features a behind-the-scenes documentary that was unavailable anywhere on the internet. It's the crazy true story behind the most dangerous film ever made. And if you want to see it, you can check out my video about it.